So in this video, this is Junior's first time being ridden in my arena. This is ride number 8, and prior to this, all he had done under saddle was in the round pen. So in an effort to not only prepare him to go take a lesson at Andrea's and have a check-in, but also to help him get used to not relying on the walls of the round pen, I felt like we had enough steering and enough guiding to be able to step into the arena here. So the first thing when I get on him, even in the round pen still, is I just make sure that his mouth is soft both ways, and then I start to step right into being able to have some shoulder control. So I also like to do that the first couple times a horse is in the arena. I just keep them on some circles and I don't really go out onto the edge or onto the rail yet. I feel like it helps me maintain some control, and it's more of like a safety net for the horse as well, because all they know so far is to go around in circles. So instead of getting all wild by just running around on the edge, I just stick to doing some circles. So the first little bit that I'm on him, I am just making sure that I have my steering and reinforcing some of my leg cues. I will just disclaim right now, the only editing that I've done in this video is when I go off screen, and that's just to save on dead time in the video. Other than that, this is essentially real time and nothing's cut out. I wanted to keep it as authentic as possible. So working on these circles, getting him going, like I said, I'm just reinforcing that he can steer, and by steering I mean being soft and following his nose, but more importantly moving away from my outside leg or my inside leg. So that means when I turn his nose to the right, like I am here, if he doesn't follow the nose that direction, and listen to my inside leg already cueing him to step to the inside, then I use my outside leg to bump on him and encourage him to step his shoulder over. What ends up happening is sometimes they'll just kind of fall in, and then they'll kind of almost counterbend the inside shoulder or drop it down. So what I'm also doing is using my inside leg to teach him / reinforce him to hold the inside shoulder up. Mechanically, what that's doing is keeping him on his hip as he's going around in these circles. So you can see I changed directions already, and I'll do that quite a few times, just testing out essentially my steering, because I really don't want to move into a trot or a lope if I feel like they're just going to blow out one side or the other, and not listen to my aids. I think it's fair to note that I do not have spurs on. I don't have like a solid and fast philosophy for when I start to add spurs. The last couple of horses that I started, I did not end up adding the spurs until much later. I feel like I don't really need that additional cue or help yet until we're getting into some more hip control and things like that. So I tested my little stop button, like you could see there, and he responded pretty good to it. He's getting pretty good about halting and not being too heavy on my hand, and then thinking about backing right up afterwards. So that's been nice. So he was starting to feel like he was pretty tuned into me, and he wasn't too worried about any cars driving by or the trees. The tree line back there is always a spot that horses, especially green ones, like to be concerned about. You can see he just stretched down there. I've been happy to see that all throughout this ride and the last couple of ones, where he wants to not just kind of reach into the contact, but, well, contact's not totally fair to use at this point, but reaching into my hand, but also stretching. That's a really good sign to see for him. So he moved off into that trot really nice. I was really happy with that. And then I'm basically doing the same thing as I was doing at the walk. I'm just reinforcing that he can move off my outside leg and move off of my inside leg and steer and hold his shoulders up, step around, kind of start getting onto his back end a little bit. You can see reach down again real nice there. You'll see sometimes in this video, it's a little bit more prevalent when we get into the lope, that he's already what some people might say framing up. And by that I mean his nose being more vertical and being on the bit. And I just wanted to comment that I am not asking him to get into that position. He's finding that on his own. All I'm asking is still lateral feel on the snaffle, and sometimes he'll use that that feel and try and reach down into it, but really I'm not yet even asking much with an outside rein applied to his mouth yet. Sometimes I'm already bringing the rein across as a neck rein kind of cue, but I have not been asking him to frame up or anything like that. That's just been him finding a comfortable place and figuring out the cueing. So yeah, so then we switch back and forth and just keep reinforcing what we were already doing. There's no real science behind when I know that he's done or responding. It's really all just feel, and once he feels like he's moving off of those aids well is when I start to feel more confident about stepping him into the lope. Now before I do get him in the lope, just another disclaimer, I suppose. We're right with this horse we've battled EPM with, and now we're dealing with a lot of chiropractic issues, which may be a result of the EPM, and that is why I'm on him now, is actually in an effort to help him develop the muscles and the strength that he needs in order to hold his adjustments better. And part of that in these first couple of rides and in the months prior was I got distracted here because I kind of figured this might be a little fun for you guys to see. All I'm doing right now was making sure that my camera was still recording. I do have a Pivo and I don't use it anymore. It just doesn't seem to function well for me. So I just have my camera on a tripod, and that's why the quality's not super good, because it doesn't have that robotic feature. But I was checking and seeing if it was still recording and getting prepared to take him into the lope next. But what I was saying before, because we're still working on building his strength and making all of this good training and good experiences, when I do get him into the lope and he's feeling balanced and correct, I only go around a couple of good circles, and that's in an effort firstly to make sure that he's building the correct muscles, but then also calling it quits before he has a kick out, which he has been liking to do. He'll kick out so that he can swap the bend and take the outside lead, and a lot of that is stemming from his SI frequently going out and causing us problems. But anyway, yeah, so this direction's been pretty good for him, both just lunging and under saddle. He's picking it up well. I think the biggest thing that I've just been having to reinforce is that he doesn't blow his shoulder to the outside, and so all of that outside leg training, practice, cueing, whatever that I was doing at the walk and the trot, all reinforces that when we get into the lope. So yeah, I only loped him a couple of circles, just trying to take it slow and steady with him. Like I said, building that strength and good experiences for him so that we don't end up having a time where I pushed him too far. Now this direction has been more historically difficult for him for quite a long time. He doesn't really want to hold a bend very well this way. This direction, particularly when I'm lunging him, is when he usually will kick out. In fact, he did when I lunged him prior to getting on this ride. And it's not so much like a sassy kind of kick out. It's, like I said, a kick out so that he can swap his lead to the outside. So I was pretty happy with that lope off. There, right at the end there, he started to counter bend, and then that's why we went down into the trot, corrected the bend, got him to lope off nicely. And this is where I'm saying again, he's already kind of trying to frame up, and that's not really, I'm not really asking him. All I'm really asking right now is to be soft to my inside hand, to follow his nose around and hold his bend. So I was pleased with those couple circles. He was really trying for me. He never tried to break gait on his own. He didn't kick out, so all really big, good wins for me there. And just at the end here, I'm just reinforcing, moving off the outside leg and being soft. Obviously there we went into a halt. He does like to stop and periodically throw his head down into the bridle. I feel like that's pretty average, pretty normal for a green horse. So I just reinforce to get off my hand and stay back by taking a couple back steps and then redoing it again here. All right, that wraps it up for this ride. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.